Yeah. Here I am. Look at my shirt. This is a old Power Cubed shirt for Click, one of the characters in Power Cubed. So I'm advertising old Aaron stuff today. Welcome to Aaron Live. This is the last second live stream. It's about 1:46 on the West Coast. Let's see who's here. Hyper Kaiju has joined us. Finally, some quality entertainment, of course. I only bring the best for you. Bill Maxwell agrees. Yes, it never disappoints. Aaron Louvier is here. Prater 7 is here. Snatch the pebble from my hand, young grasshopper. Indeed. JP Roque is here. Hey, look at that. He picked up. So we were on the same wavelength, man. We had this connection, this vibe going on. So I wore the shirt. You picked up the trade paperback. Thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. I'm sure Dark Horse does too. There you go. See, Joe's jumping on the old bandwagon here. Hello, Aaron. Good, some cool, entertaining streaming for work. Yes, I'm here for you. Alrighty. So I've got a couple of sketchbooks. One very sort of strange situation with a sketchbook that we'll get into in a minute. But I'm going to do everybody a favor, especially my voice, which is not liking me too much right now. My throat is like, stop talking all the time. So try and keep this to an hour. So I moved the camera back, this camera back over here so we wouldn't be directly under this light. So I'm thinking, here's the process. I'm thinking that you guys will be able to see the paper better. It won't like just burn out. But we shall see. Okay, so a lot of you I know you're probably sitting there going, yeah, this is really interesting stuff, Aaron. Thank you so much. But you want to know what I'm working on? I mean, everybody wants to know what I'm working on, right? I mean, that's why you're here, right? Even though I'm sure every of the 11 people watching right now, everybody knows what I'm working on. But we have to pretend that there's going to be some people coming in here and watching after the live feed that don't know what I'm working on. So let's do a quick run through, shall we? Actually, I'm going to put this up real quick because was it Joe? I think, yeah, Joe said he just picked this up, the trade paperback for this. This is available through Amazon, and maybe some comic shops have it floating around still. This is a couple years old, and I may have autographed copies of this available when my Wraith campaign goes live as an add-on that you can get. I'm checking with Dark Horse right now about that. Again, the mystery continues. What is this? When will we see it? I don't know, but there it is. Of course, the big thing. Well, let's do this. I have Eric Nalitowski has a Shadow Sentry Indiegogo book going up. This is my alternate cover for his book, so you might want to pick that up if you like some saucy girl with a red and black tight skirt on. I guess she's some sort of evil ninja chick. I don't know. You have to read that to find out. Of course, this you may have seen in the promo card there. This is available. This is the Garbage Man trade paperback through Dark Horse Comics. It has all 134 pages of exciting Garbage Man action from my DC Comics days, and 18 pages of new material as well. So that's available for pre-order right now on Amazon or through your local comic shop. And I also am looking into getting some copies of those that I can add on to the Wraith campaign as well. We'll see how that pans out. Hopefully I'll know that shortly. Not like shortly in a few minutes, but shortly in a few days. Of course, there's this. This, of course, is Wraith of God, which if I can quote Ethan Van Sciver saying this is maybe the coolest piece of art he's seen on an Indiegogo comic yet. So how about that? So we have big high hopes for this. I'm thinking it's, I'm pretty excited about it. And I hope that you are as well. If you have not signed up for this, please do that. I need to know how many people are interested in this book so I can kind of gauge, you know, stretch goals and all sorts of things before I get started, what my expectations might be for sales on this book. It's a monster horror Western. This character, Wraith of God, he's sort of a Batman of the Old West, if you will, master of disguise and illusion. He has a partner named Esther, who's a former Salvation Army worker that he is in some ways coerced to be his partner. And so their relationship isn't exactly, shall we say, drama-free. And but they're hunting a pack of werewolves across the Midwest of the United States in 1883. So pretty exciting stuff, pretty interesting stuff, and it has a message as well. I always like to put a little moral in my stories. So that's one cover option. There's another cover, my 70s retro Marvel-esque cover option that'll be available on the book. This is a 72-page graphic novel, not just a comic book. And actually would be more than a 3-issue miniseries might to give you in terms of content. So you want to look into that. And there's going to be a third cover by a very, very prominent comic book artist that I'll hopefully have ready to debut. Well, I'm not going to go live with the campaign until I have cover art from him that I can display on there as well. So, but I'll announce that once I actually get something from him. So anyway, that is available. And since we're looking at it, why don't we just go right ahead and I'll share the screen with you. Because we're such close friends, there's no reason not to share the screen. Let's play the video. Yeah, rock on with that, huh? Okay, so that's my pitch for the day. Well. Leg Kick is here. He barely made the last live stream. Just in time as I was closing out the show, he showed up. And this, of course, was able to keep his omnipresent streak going, being at every single live stream on the planet. And he once again shows up. So there we go. You know, it's a Swedish thing. Of course, he's talking about my black and white sci-fi project that we just can't quite figure out what's going on there. Look at that. Because I'm a simple man. I see a book with a T-Rex drawn by Aaron, I buy it. And I think that's an excellent reason why you should buy it. Honey and Lemon, AA Ron. I don't know what that means. Bill Maxwell. Okay. Oh, K Manifesto is here. What's up, he says, because that's his it's his trademark. In fact, I'm going to be doing Kevin. I'm going to be doing, it's Kevin, right? Not Ken. Is it Ken or Kevin? No, I can't remember. It's Kevin. Anyway, maybe I shouldn't reveal that information. So K Manifesto, I'm going to be doing your sketchbook shortly. Yeah. Hey, what's Aaron working on? Yeah, we just did that. Okay. Excuse me. See, it's my voice. It's like, now this is interesting. Anthony put this in here 3 times with no message, but we're glad you're here, Anthony, even though you may not have anything to say. Prater's reaching out to Leg Kick. How about that? He's still here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I know you guys want me to enlarge that video, and every time I try to enlarge it, it like doesn't work. So I don't know. I'm doing something wrong. Aaron, let's see what he's got here. Joe says, Aaron, Wraith reminds me of a cool combo of the Phantom with Zorro the Lone Ranger, the original Ghost Rider. I can't wait. I still think you could have added a part of the boss guy in the foreground. Part of the boss guy. Part of the boss guy. I know that means something, and I think we may have joked about that earlier, but now I can't remember what it means. Okay, so anyway, so let me show you some artwork. I finished inking that one page, the first page. So let's share that. See, now I gotta push a bunch of buttons again. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna move out from underneath the light and kind of, yeah, there we go. Okay, let me zoom in. See, the thing is I moved back, but now I can barely reach the controls. I'll kind of do a pan here so we can get a good look at what I've got going on. Doggone. Autofocus turn off. Okay, so let's take a look here at panel 1. There's our horses, our dudes in the background. So you can see in here, maybe not all that well, but I got a lot of cross-hatching and sort of noodling going on in here that I don't normally ink like that. You guys saw this when I did the live feed. You can see all the cross-hatching and stuff going on in here. So even though when I said I was going to ink looser, and in ways this is looser, but it's still, as you can see, it's not like I crapped out on the artwork. I mean, everything is there. The detail is there. It's just the line isn't as slick. And maybe that's a better way to put it. It's a rougher line that I've used. You can probably see it on these smoke clouds, right? How that line has just got some, like right here. Look at how there's a heavy clump right there of ink, and then it gets thinner again. And so I've been doing that a lot. There's an example of it right there. To kind of give this more of a pen rough. I hate to use the word edgy because it doesn't really mean anything or say anything, but we do know, I guess, in terms of comic language, what I'm talking about when I say gritty or edgy. But you can see that, this all that kind of cross-hatching and noodling in there, that if I was doing that with a brush, it would be very meticulous and very controlled, and everything would be, right on. Because if I do it with a brush and I do it loose, it gets wobbly and just really looks amateurish. But you can go in there with a pen and basically do sort of sketchy inks, and it still looks really, really good. So anyway, that's the first page completely inked. Of course, you guys have seen the second page, but hey, there it is again. So we go from the first page to the second page, which makes perfect sense in almost any culture in the world. You go from 1 to 2. And then here's the third page, which I'm penciling. Now I laid this out live, and now I'm not completely done with it yet, but I want you guys to notice something. If you remember when I was talking about storytelling and stuff, that originally this panel, the close-up of the Wraith, wasn't in here. I just had this panel and then these two with the guy getting shot in the head and falling into the fire, but I really felt like we needed a shot of the Wraith in here someplace. And so if you recall, I added this in the layout. Well, then after I drew this, I also added this gun barrel, okay? Why? Because this dude's getting shot in the head in the next panel. And I wanted to be, I mean, yeah, you can say, well, it's obvious, but one thing that they taught us in film school way back in the day was you got to be subtle to be obvious. So let me try that again. You have to be obvious to be subtle. Pardon. You have to be subtle to be obvious. You have to be obvious to be subtle. So in other words, what you think may be obvious as the artist might actually turn out to be quite subtle to whoever's watching it, and they may miss it, right? So rather than just having a close-up, I put the gun barrel here, in this panel, along with the close-up of the Wraith. So there should be no question in the reader's mind that that's who just shot this dude in the head. Okay, so we make the connection between the Wraith, the gun, and then the gunshot here. So that is your storytelling 101. Now these are still rough down here at the bottom, but you got the Wraith in blue here. He's standing up on that rock. And the two bad guys, the two leftover bad guys, are running in opposite directions here. And then he leaps off the rock and doesn't look as scary as he will once that's all black and you just get his eyes in there and you get maybe a couple highlights of the hat and stuff. But it's going to be mostly black with this sort of tattered bat-like cape flowing behind him as this guy's running away for his life. When he's such a coward, he could actually pull out his gun and maybe shoot, but he's too worried about running for his life right now. But anyway, so this is going to be page 3. All of these are going to be inked and colored when I launch my page, and they will be on the page when the campaign goes live, the live campaign page for you guys to see, as well as all the cover art and anything else I can muster to throw on there. So I have plenty of visuals to sell the product, to sell the book. So anyway, that's what I'm working on right now. I want to get this thing inked for the end of the week, finished penciled and inked before the end of the week. That's my goal. Those are my hairy werewolf legs. We'll cover those up before we shock the children. Okay, so let's see who else is here. There you go. Joe's actually right. Storytelling breadcrumbs to lead the audience right. That is correct. Flying Saucers is, to be honest, loose at this level makes for more dynamic panels. I think you're right. Kebra Kaiju loves the blam. You know, I love putting in the sound effects. I didn't used to because I sucked as a letterer. So I really worked on it. When we were in the studio back in the day, that would have been the mid-90s. Terry Dodson was a really good letterer, still is, like special effects lettering and stuff, and I sucked, and so it kind of made me jealous. So I really started practicing it and actually got fairly decent at it. So now I put in my own sound effects because you never know where a letterer might cover something up that you don't want him to cover up with that. Okay, so we're going to draw on some sketchbooks now, and you may be saying, sketchbook, what are you talking about, Aaron? What do you mean sketchbook? This is what I mean. It's raw imagination. It's 20 years of sketches by me. It's a hardcover. It's 64 pages of full color excitement. The best stuff out of my sketchbooks. Some of this stuff in here has been in other of my pamphlet sketchbooks in the past, but there's also like a ton of new material that has never been printed before that's in here as well. So it's a really nice book, and it's available to you for $25. Signed and numbered, limited edition to $750, or if you like a head sketch on the inside, it's an extra $20, so then it becomes $45. And of course, $5 shipping is always part of the deal. So basically it'd be $30 includes shipping for a non-sketch in the sketchbook, just the book itself, or $50 that includes shipping for a book with a sketch on the inside. You say, Aaron, how in the world can I possibly order something like that? Right here. There you go. You PayPal me the money at aaron@aaronlopresti.com. You make sure you tell me why you're sending me the money, because it doesn't help me if you send me a bunch of money and I don't know what it's for. And then you put your address in there, because if you don't have your address in there, I can't ship it to you. And I can't tell you how many times that keeps happening. Don't send me money without telling me why you're sending me money and giving me an address that I can send you whatever you're sending me the money for. So there you go. And don't ask for likenesses in the sketchbooks, because I don't do them anymore. They're just way too time consuming. Oh, I left that on. I tried to click that off and it didn't click off. Boom, there you go. Okay, so now here's the, well, let's do K Manifestos first. He wants, oddly enough, there we go. He wants OMAC, like the new 52 version of OMAC. And so we're going to do that, which is, you know, to each his own, right? Manifesto. Oh, let me show you this. Did I show you this? I showed you this at Christmas time because I got this for Christmas. But this is like a, no, it's not a man purse. It's a shoulder bag, very sort of Indiana Jonesy like. And this is what I take to like store signings, and I can put stuff in here. Let me zoom out a bit. You know, so I got these cool pockets. It's all like buffalo leather or something. I don't know. But then there's like, you know, slots and pockets on the inside. And so I just wanted, it has a nice leather smell. Like I'm going to hit the trail in Wyoming or something. But anyway, I don't know. I was just sitting here. I was like, I want to share that again because it's so cool. So when I go to Free Comic Book Day in Tennessee here in mid-August, I will, I'll be carrying that over my shoulder. All right. So the Manifesto Man would like to see OMAC, but the newer version of OMAC, not the old version, not the Kirby version, but the basically the Dan DiDio version of OMAC. Although Dan didn't design him, I'm sure he had a big hand in his development. So anyway, let's tackle that challenge, and then we'll take a look at, well, the very strange and unusual sketchbook. Well, okay, I'm hyping it up too much. It's not that strange. It's not that unusual, but I have an interesting dilemma with a sketchbook. So we will broach that in a few minutes after I do this. There it is. Past Master Dan's got it. Lopresti Jones. Exactly. That's me. See, Dan DiDio desperately wanted a Hulk character for the DCU, and we just could never quite. That's what Damage was supposed to be, but then it didn't last. The series didn't last, of course, but that was kind of his intention, and I thought that was, you know, Garbage Man was potentially going to be that Hulk character, but he ended up being really more of a Swamp Thing character, obviously. But Dan wanted a Hulk character for the DCU because they don't really have one. And so Damage was that Hulk character, but then when the series got canceled, no one really, you know, they could have put him in the Justice League or something. I don't know. They just never did. Of course, the Hulk doesn't really fit in the Justice League either. Too hard to control. Or pardon me, the Hulk never really fit in the Avengers. So I guess it's reasonable to assume that Damage would not fit with the Justice League. So OMAC has this enormous fin. I never really understood why they wanted him with this enormous. Actually, he doesn't have eyeballs, I don't think. Am I gonna have to look up my own character, my own drawing of my own character? I know. Actually, I know he doesn't have eyeballs. Yeah, I think that's probably true. Dan DeEdge, I don't recall Dan DeEdge being here before, but I appreciate you showing up. Maybe you're a first timer or first time chatting with us. Thanks for joining. Fox Mulder says that art looks amazing to me. Of course, he's talking about the Wraith of God stuff, and I thank you and I appreciate it. If we do have any new people here, let me do this really quickly because this is kind of important. Subscribe to my channel, please, and like, which brings to mind, we are over 1,000 subscribers, which means I get to monetize this channel. Woohoo! although the sign up for the monetization is giving me grief right now. So, but anyway, but also because it's our 1,000th subscribed, we have, let me try that again. Since we now have 1,000 subscribers, we have to do a special 1,000 subscriber show, which Shelley Showtime and I will be doing Sunday. So you do not want to miss that. A couple things are going to happen. One, we have many features that concern the number 1,000. So that'll be quite a bit of fun. And also, because it's can't really say it's an anniversary show, but it's a celebratory show. And so I thought, I'm going to have a guest. And I contacted an old friend of mine, Mark Nelson. Now, Mark, as some of you should be aware, if you're not, was the very first artist on, dang it, I just put his eye in there again. I'm going to have to white it out. He was the very first artist on Dark Horse's Aliens comic. So when Aliens, the first miniseries, was done by Dark Horse back in like 88 or 89, when they first launched their publishing venture, that was in black and white, and it really helped establish Dark Horse Comics as a serious independent player in the industry. And so Mark was the original artist on that, and he's an incredible character designer and monster designer. And so he's going to come on, and we're going to talk about his career, what he's working on now. And those of you who are on Facebook should be following Mark if you're not, because when he posts a lot of really cool stuff. And so I'm very excited to have him on, and he will be, like I said, joining us on the Sunday show, the big show on Sunday. And of course, that's going to be, I think we're going to start it at 4:30 or 5. I'm not West Coast time. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I will post it. So keep your eyes open for that, for the start time. Zaid wants to know, where can I get a Garbage Man? Well, you're going to have a couple options here. You can pre-order it, the trade, you can pre-order it on Amazon. You can pre-order it at your local comic shop. Right now you can. Or you can roll the dice a little bit and wait a month. And I will have some of those, I think, available on my Wraith of God campaign. I don't know yet because I'm checking with Dark Horse. It depends on how much they're going to sell them to me for, and how many I can get, and all that kind of stuff, which I'm trying to figure out right now. But those will be your three options. Wow. I don't even think I really need to answer that, do I? I think you should try and get out of it to catch the show. I would never do that. Try and combine both. That's what I would do. Remember, you can always watch the show in reruns. So, you know, wasn't there a general character who was a cross between the Hulk and General Ross in DC called General Eiling? I know General Ross became the Hulk, or some form of the Hulk in Marvel at some point. He was like the Red Hulk or the Blue Hulk or the something Hulk. But in DC, cross between the Hulk and General Ross, I don't know. DC needs an old school Champions or Defenders like team book. Yes, with me writing and drawing it, don't you think? Yeah, I think that is correct. I'm pretty sure Mark wrote those. Mark Verheiden wrote those. But they're black and white. At least they originally were published in black and white. They might be in color. They might have reprinted them in color, though. Yes, David Williams wants to know if I'm drawing him again. I am, because I'm obsessed with David. If I'm not drawing pictures of him, I'm worried that he's going to come in and beat me in a drawing competition. So. Although as a kid, I thought Kirby's OMAC was really weird, and in some ways kind of freaked me out. Didn't really like it, but as I've gotten older, I've really become more appreciative of Kirby's work, and now I have a copy of OMAC #1 sitting over there in my comic boxes. But I will admit I still haven't read it because it's still weird. Yeah, it's like the future or something, and like they have these, like the very first page is some woman is in a box, right? Or parts. She's like a robot chick or something, and she's like her head and her arms and her legs are sticking out of this box, and it just is really creepy, unsettling. Apparently everybody else thought so too because the character didn't last very long. But on the other hand, I saw a Ryan Sook cover a few years ago that he did of OMAC. It was just sensational. Of course, I really like Ryan's stuff. He's really good. So I guess it wouldn't really matter to me what he drew. But the fact that it was OMAC that he drew and it looked pretty cool, I was like, wow. And it was the original OMAC. So it's like the original OMAC can be cool. Of course, for those of you who don't know, I have to crosshatch these black areas on here because if I use a black, a heavy black marker, it will bleed through. And I don't want you to open the book and have all these marker blotches on the page, on the back side of this page when you open the book, because that would irritate me. So even if it wasn't in my possession, just knowing that it's out there would irritate me. So I'll take the extra time and crosshatch all of these blacks. And speaking of crosshatching, as I brought up earlier on the Wraith of God pages, I don't know. I mean, I used to be a brush snob, okay, because using a brush is way harder than using a pen. It requires a lot more discipline and patience and control and everything else. It's really difficult. And I got really good at being a brush inker, but it's very fatiguing, okay? So I would draw a page, and then if I had to ink that page with a brush, I dreaded it, And what I find with inking with a pen is it's just like holding a pencil. Like, look at how I'm doing this cross-hatching. It's just very loose and everything, but it's still very effective. I could never do this with a brush. Everything would have to be controlled, with a brush. Go all the lines this way, then all the lines this way. And yeah, it's all perfect and everything, but it's really tedious and it's really difficult to maintain your focus, at least for me. And your focus and your control for a long period of time. But what I find is with the pen, inking the pen, I don't really dread it. And I don't know that I'm saving any time because I'm putting in so much cross-hatching and so much line work that maybe if I was using a brush, I would just fill in with black. It's so much more relaxing to ink with a pen because, you're not like hyper controlled, you're just sort of you can be a little bit looser mentally, and as a result, it's easier to ink. So even though I may not be saving any time, and I may be even putting in more detail and line work than I normally would do by using a pen, it's much more relaxing to ink. And I'm actually looking forward to it as opposed to dreading it. So I may never go back to the brush. I mean, like I said, it used to be sort of a badge of honor, but at this point I'm kind of like, you know what? Whatever gets the job done and looks the way you want it to look, then go ahead and use it. And I've told this story before, but I've asked both Kevin Nolan and Mike Plug at various points, what they use to ink, and they both basically said the same thing: whatever's within reach. And that, I think, that's a great answer, because it shouldn't necessarily be about what tools are you using as much as it is, are you getting your desired look and effect at the end of the day. So, and that has kind of become my inking mantra, if you will. It's not Omac anymore. He's black now. His name is Bro Mac. First little laugh Dave coaxed out of me today. Let's see here now. Well, let's see. Statistical Zero is trying to get into the act, and when I say, let me emphasize trying. Boo. I have to try a little harder than that. Oh my gosh, he's doubling down. Boo. Yeah, you're going to double down on bad. That's what you're going to get. Well, if you're not blacking it out, I would have thought it was Savage Dragon. I said, well, oh, you know what? Savage Dragon isn't quite that hulkish looking, though, isn't he? Like supposed to be like a normal guy with a fin on his head, but he's green. Aaron, this is an in-depth question. So, that's a good question. Well, okay. Boy, can I say this without being sacrilegious? I'm not a huge George Perez fan, so I'll just leave it at that. But I think hyper detail is interesting, but it's also troublesome. And here's what I mean. If you focus on detail only, right? And there's a lot of artists who do, and I don't mean to begrudge anybody that. But it becomes very, very busy. It can become very, very busy. And when it becomes very, very busy, you have to ask yourself, am I working against what my ultimate goal should be, which is storytelling, right? Yes, you want the artwork to look cool. Yes, you want to get noticed and be a superstar in the industry. I get all that. But you don't want to sacrifice storytelling. And some people get so carried away with line work and detail that they put it all over the place. And sometimes it's hard to focus on the important image or images on a page for storytelling purposes, because ultimately that's the goal. And a lot of artists, not a lot, but some artists will rely on word balloons and the writer to come in and kind of bail them out, because you can't tell what the heck's going on the page. It's so full of lines and busyness that you can say, oh, that looks really cool, but if you didn't have the word balloons and dialogues there to guide you, you probably would be lost. And I'm not saying it's the case with George Perez's stuff, but at some point, I think you have to sort of weigh how much detail you put in, and is it serving the story or not, or is it just serving yourself? And I put a fair amount of detail in my work, so I'm not, like I said, I'm not begrudging people that do that, but I think you have to balance it so that you're not losing your reader in the details. Now, what do I prefer looking at? I don't know. I mean, I'm like everybody else. When I see, Finch do a Moon Knight with the rain coming down and dripping off, and there's lines everywhere, and it looks really cool. I say that. I go, yeah, that looks really cool. But I do appreciate minimalists that can come in there and kind of capture a moment without a lot of line work. Just black placement to create volume. So I'm really a fan of everything that's done well, and I'm not a fan of anything that is not done well. And so I don't like to categorize and say, oh, I like a lot of detail, or I like a minimalist approach. I like whatever looks good. And it can be either style as long as they're done correctly. So there, how's that for a, I always would tell my inkers, my first time inkers, I'd say, I don't care what you do as long as it looks good when you're done. Okay, so what does that mean? That simply means that you have to have a certain aesthetic in your work, okay? And especially as an inker. Because Danny Mickey can ink me, it can look really good. Matt Ryan can ink me, and he's a completely different inker, and it can look really good. So it's the aesthetic that an inker brings to the table, not necessarily what type of line quality they're bringing. And I'm the same way with the artists. I don't have a particular style that I gravitate to. As long as it looks good, then I like it. And that, of course, is subjective, right? I think a guy who does a really great job of balancing detail, but not ridiculous, out of control detail, is somebody like Dale Keown. I really like Dale's stuff a lot. And his Pit stuff has a lot of detail in it, but it also has a lot of open areas and stuff, so you don't get lost on the page necessarily. Although sometimes when you get bombarded with dark coloring, that can also lose stuff. So that's a whole nother argument. Okay, so I think this is OMAC, but I probably should have done this before I started, but let me check really quickly in case I'm forgetting something on his face. Let's go OMAC, Lopresti, JLI. Let's see what comes up. Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, so I did screw it up. Excellent. Well, not really. He does have like hair, a hairline. This means more cross hatching for me. Just sort of like that. So he does have the black hair here. He has the black hair line, but the fin's coming out of the hair. No wonder all my pens are dry. There we go. That looks right. I knew that kind of widow's peak thing I'd going there didn't really work for me. I knew that something was not quite right, but this now is quite right. So you guys that get like requests like Batman or whatever, or female characters with dark hair, you get extra ink. I'm gonna charge more for anybody that wants a character that has black in their costume. No, I'm kidding. I kid because I care. Now, I do cheap sketches in here simply to promote the book sales. That's kind of that's what I do it for. This would cost you at a show. Well, many of you saw that that Poison Ivy I posted on Instagram and Twitter, and I don't know if I posted on Facebook yet or not. But anyway, it was a portrait, kind of a bust shot of 9x12 bust shot of Poison Ivy they did the Kansas City show. It's $100. Okay. But you're getting this for $20 inside this book because I'm trying to peddle the books. So it's really an outstanding deal. And I know some of you have taken great advantage of it because I know a lot of you guys have multiple copies of this book. And I appreciate it. Okay, that looks better to me. That looks better to me. Oh, Mac, baby. I got to fix that eye right there, but I'll do that off camera because I don't know where my little white paint thing is. So you go K Manifesto. Okay, so now the second book is an interesting situation, and I will David says your pens are dry because you keep breathing your hot dragon breath on them. Breathe a little of this. Let's see. Never cheap, inexpensive. Sheesh. Okay, let's see. Draw the Huntress for your next color piece. I really want to do Black Bolt. Someone suggested that last time, and I'm like, I might do Black Bolt. Which is nothing but black. Here I am complaining about black, but well, let's see who's here. It's Lewis is saying sacrilege. I assume you're talking about my comment about George Perez. Detail means, let's see. What does Lewis think detail means? He says it means you have to be more concentrated and busy, and you have to concentrate because you have to be consistent with it. That sounds like artist double talk to me. Sometimes the busier you get, the harder it is to make deadlines. Well, that's for sure. Again, there's a lot of truth in that. So there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration, as you try to determine how much detail you're going to put in any piece or what kind of style you're going to adapt or adopt to your work. All right, so this is number 303 out of 750. We are over the 300 mark. I think that's pretty awesome. I got a bunch of these I got to mail out now. So there it is, OMAC. Rusty says, good morning. I'm guessing Rusty is not in the good old US of A. Darwin Cook, as good at that. Just a few lines, you got everything across. Yep. And people, there's like artist. I think Darwin Cook is probably would be an artist. Alex Toth, Mignola, guys like that are other artists that other artists really kind of dig because they're doing stuff that we aren't normally seeing. Be like water, my friend. Always flowing, crystal clear, refreshing. I'm all those things. There, see, Joe is he's a staunch supporter of me, and I appreciate that. Nothing stops a blade of grass when it wants to grow. Man, we're getting deep here. Who's calling me? Oh, it's David Williams. Hello, David. He wants to know how come I always got to slap a brother. And I'm saying, well, you're bringing it. You start it, man, and I finish it. That's how it works on this show. Is you trying to help me out? Is that what it is? Okay. Okay. Well, I didn't realize that. I thought maybe you were trying to be adversarial. So it's trying to no, okay. No, he's singing to me. He's singing to me. Do you want to come on? Okay. It is. All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. I will. Okay. I can just slim you down a little bit. Okay. All right. All right, man. Talk to you later. Bye. That was David Williams calling me right in the middle of the show, because it's not enough for him to comment in the comment section. He has to call me in the middle of the show and give me crap. But no, he was he sang to me. He just called to say I love you. I can't remember who sang that, but David just sang that to me. So it brought a tear to my eye almost. Oh, look at that. So Rusty is in Japan. I wondered. How about that? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate that. Oh, what was this? Oh, wow. I just saw Comic-Con just canceled Frank Miller, meaning they canceled him or he canceled that he's not going. So Joe's taking credit for suggesting Black Bolt. I like that. I'm going to have David on and we're going to draw Black Bolt, whether he wants to or not. Well, I just did a commission for a Dark Hawk for a guy. So ooh, there you go. See, you're gonna have to look into a sketchbook. I think you should. And you gotta think about the Ultimate Monster Quest first, or maybe the Spectre. I love the Spectre. Just saying. Lionel Richie, yeah. So David gave me a little Lionel Richie on the phone there. That was really no, you're wrong. It was Stevie Wonder, wasn't it? Okay, now I don't know. That was Stevie Wonder, not Lionel Richie. So statistical zero is right. D Jones gives me wrong information. Oh, you got to be kidding me. You know, at what point in time are people, businesses, whatever, going to quit listening to people on social media? People on social media that complain about stuff, they don't buy stuff. They don't go anywhere. They just make trouble for everybody. So ignore people, except you guys, of course. Yeah, that's so annoying. But hey, they can do what they want to do, right? Uh-oh, see, David Williams says, we do Black Bolt. He says, I will smoke you again, Aaron. We will see about that. No, I have not. I'm not a big Godzilla fan. His thighs are too big and his head is too small. But no, I haven't. I don't think I've ever drawn Godzilla, and I don't think I've ever drawn any monsters from Godzilla. Although I can see myself doing like King Ghidorah or something. I'm kind of a dragon guy. You know, I did meet Frank Miller once, but not like maybe you would. I was with Ken Stacy, and we were at a party at San Diego. And this is like when I was just breaking in, so it was like really early 90s. And I was walking with Ken, and we ran into Den Bouvet. Now, Den Bouvet did the second Dark Horse Aliens miniseries, the one that was color and airbrushed. And so, and Den, of course, is short for Dennis Bouvet, but everybody called him Den. So the three of us were in there talking, and then Frank Miller came up. Or maybe Den Bouvet was talking to Frank Miller, and then Ken Stacy and I walked up, and I think Ken knew Frank, and of course we both knew Den. And so Ken and I walked up there, and then Ken Stacy just sort of introduced me. He said, Aaron, this is Frank Miller. I said, Frank, nice to meet you. Big fan of your work. And he was like, really cool. Said, thanks. And then we just sat there and chatted for a little bit, kind of in this group. And I just mostly listened, of course. And that was pretty much my Frank Miller experience. And he was still, relatively young. Because like I said, he was probably doing 300 at Dark Horse at that point. So, or somewhere or Sin City or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that was the only time I ever met him. There's no way I'm ever drawing Ultraman unless someone paid me. Indeed, I am, and I'm going to hold that crown forever until I die. How strong is Garbage Man? Is his strength is on damage strength level or something? No, he's not like Hulk strong, but he's got that big concrete arm, and that's what he can use to really sort of punch through things. And but he's I don't see him. He's not a guy that could like grab a tree and uproot a tree, but he could use that big fist to punch a hole through the tree, if that makes any sense. So that's kind of where I see his strength level. Yeah. No, I didn't. I didn't piss off Frank Miller. Nope, I didn't. I pissed off John Byrne before, but John Byrne pissed me off first. So that's another story. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's take a gander, shall we? As we're getting close to that hour mark that I promised I wouldn't go over. See, I engage in the conversation on the side, and that's what lengthens these shows. Okay, now check this out. Some guy from, let's just say a guy from Italy, because I don't want to, I think he's from Italy, maybe Spain, someplace in Europe. Let's just say that, contacted me and said, hey, I'd like to get a sketchbook with a drawing of a dinosaur inside, right? I was like, okay, great. And he says, I'll PayPal you the money. So I went ahead and drew the dinosaur. I never PayPal'd me the money. So I sent him an email. I said, hey, dude, your book's done. I need you to send me blah, blah, blah. Never heard from him again. And this was, I don't know, a couple months ago. So I have this. So I figured out, maybe someone would buy this, but I'm going to sweeten the deal a little bit. How, you say? Well, let me show you how. I'm going to add a little something up here, and then make this available to anybody who wants to buy it. So basically, if you want this, after you see what I'm doing, yes, I'm putting a cave girl on here to sweeten the deal. And this will be the same price, $50. That includes shipping. If anybody wants this. Otherwise, I'm going to have this dinosaur book forever. Wait a minute here. Let's get this right. keep changing my mind what I want to do here. Make it Betty Rubble. Well, that's very nice. See, I'm not going to say John Byrne's a bad guy or anything. I'm just saying he ticked me off. So doggone it. Well, the John Byrne story is pretty simple. I was going out to dinner at Motor City Comic Con with Rick Leonardi, and Byrne. I didn't know Byrne at the time, and so he came up to Rick and said, "Hey," well, we were walking along, and he said, "Hey, Rick, you want to go get some dinner?" And I was right there, and of course he didn't invite me. He just he said, and Rick said, "No, I'm going to dinner with Aaron." And he said, "Oh, I'll come along with you guys then." So he just sort of invited himself, which is fine. I didn't care. So we're at dinner, and then we started talking about Christianity, which I never start the conversation, but I always defend it. And Byrne said something derogatory. I can't even remember what it was about Christianity or the Bible or something that was just completely asinine. And so we got into it a little bit, and he might have just been trolling me for recreational purposes. And honestly, I can't remember what he said and then what I responded to, but yeah, he got my ire up a little bit. And then what I do remember is at we were at a Portland show, one of the Dark Horse Portland shows, because John was part of the that Legends imprint that Dark Horse was doing. So he was there, and he was sitting over there. We were on this one big island, right? And there was nobody, no one came to the show, basically, which was really weird because Frank Miller was there, McFarlane was there. I mean, it was just chock full of just great people. And I don't know if the advertising wasn't good or what. But anyway, they didn't really, doggone it. They didn't, it wasn't very well attended. Despite all these, Adam Hughes was there. I mean, it was just incredible. The amount of, Dave Stevens was probably there. And there was just nobody there. It was just tumbleweeds. And so Byrne's standing there with nothing to do, right? And I said something to him like, "Oh, look, the legendary John Byrne and not a person at his table." And he said, he turned to me and he said, "Well," something to the effect of, "Who are you to talk?" He said, "You don't have anybody at your table either." And I said, "Yeah, but I'm not supposed to have anybody at my table." So I got the last laugh on him on that exchange. And that was the last time we talked. So, I mean, it was all sort of in, good-natured fun, I think. But yeah, he did tick me off at dinner, though, at Motor City. It's not a great story, but it is a story. I have a better Harlan Ellison story. I'll save that for another time. Tell you, man, the one thing I hate drawing small. I much rather draw large. Because if your line is off just a smidge, it might as well be off a mile when you're drawing small. Okay. All right. I'll tell the Harlan Ellison story. So I'm in San Diego, and again, this is very young in my career, and like early '90s, still breaking in. I think I was doing What the or something, at the time, and that was it. So I'm at a table with him. I believe it was his wife. Al Gordon, the inker, was there. Clyde Eney, who still runs Artist Alley at San Diego. And some other people. And it was the the Eisner Awards banquet dinner thing. So they were all sitting there having a conversation. I was just sitting there, listening. I mean, I was a nobody, so I wasn't, trying to, do too much there. I was just kind of listening to these guys talk. And I finally got an opportunity that I thought maybe I can interject something of value to the conversation. So I said something. I don't remember what it was I said. And Ellison looked at me, right across the table from me, looked at me for a good couple seconds, like, who are you to be involved in this conversation? And then just turned away and started talking again, like totally blew me off, totally snubbed me. How do you want to call it? It was very rude. Okay. And there's a lot of things that I'll put up with, but that I will not put up with from anybody. And so it really ticked me off. I mean, he just looked at me, stared at me, then turned away and started talking again. Like, hey, kid, shut up kind of thing. And so this was about the time he was doing those car commercials, the Geo, if you remember, it was a Geo Metro. He would do these car commercials. And so when I got a second, I interjected again when I got an opportunity. And I said, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah. And I said, I'm sorry. In the commercial, it would, it said at the bottom of the commercial, it said, Harlan Ellison, noted futurist. Didn't say science fiction writer or whatever. It said noted futurist. And so I said, can I ask you a question? He said, yeah. And I said, just what exactly is a noted futurist? Okay. And you should have seen the eyes of everybody at the table, like, what did you just say? And so he goes, and this was lined with some expletives, but he just said, what do you think it is? Smart guy, but he didn't say it that kindly. And I said, I would guess that a noted futurist is someone who talks about the future and at least one person takes note of it. He blew up at me and, cussing me out. Who do you think you are, you smart ass, and blah, 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 right? And so he goes through this whole rigmarole, just berating me. And I sat there and took it. And, everybody at the table was like really getting silent. It was very funny. And so then he goes, do you want to know why I did that commercial? Very sternly says, you want to know why I did that commercial? And I looked at him and I said, I don't know, for the money. And then he just blew up again. I mean, he was just outraged. He was irate and blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't, I would never endorse a product unless I was, convinced it was good and blah, blah, blah. And then, and he goes, and I own a Geo, I wouldn't endorse that car unless I owned it and drove it. And I went, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. I was just kind of being obstinate to be obstinate at that point. And then Len Wein comes walking by. And Harlan reaches out and grabs Len, and he goes, Len, hey, tell this a-hole that I own a Geo, right? And then Len Wein turns and goes, oh my gosh, not the Geo again, and kept walking. So everybody busted up laughing. And then, of course, Harlan berated me a little bit more after that. And then, the conversation sort of turned into, and then I shut up for a while, and, his attention went away from me and back to the conversation with other people at the table. And then he said something else, and I interjected again. I made a joke about something, seemed like there was an opportunity there. So I jumped in with a joke about something. And he says, oh, I suppose that's what passes for New York humor. And I said, I have no idea. I said, I'm not from New York. And he said, really, where are you from? And I said, I'm from Beaverton, Oregon. He goes, Beaverton, Oregon? I said, yeah. He goes, I've been to Beaverton. And then we started talking about Beaverton, and we were like buddies the rest of the evening. Oh, I never spoke to him again after that. In fact, I saw him at Heroes Con, but he didn't, remember me, and I'm sure there's no reason why he would have. But it was a couple of years after that I saw him at Heroes Con, and so he was walking through Artist Alley and, looking at people's stuff, and, he was talking to whoever was sitting next to me. But I didn't say anything because I figured he wouldn't remember me. So, and that was my Harlan Ellison story. But just the fact that I got his goat so badly really gave me some pleasure. And I wouldn't have said anything if he hadn't been a jerk to me. But it was funny that he sort of, once, we had this like Beaverton, Oregon connection that suddenly everything was cool. It was very weird. And I'm not a big Harlan Ellison fan. I think some of his writing tends to be a little bit pretentious, or at least that's kind of my feeling on it. But I thought A Boy and His Dog was decent, and he did write the best Star Trek episode, arguably. So, I got to give him credit for that. But that's my Harlan Ellison story. And there's my Cave Girl. So if anybody wants this book, it's available. So feel free to contact me right here or through social media or anywhere else that you, that's number 270. So we're on 303. This was 33 books ago. That's how long I've been sitting on this. So there we go. You got Dinosaur and Cave Girl right there. Angela likes it. Thanks, Angela. Appreciate it. Harlan, he wants his 500,000 comics. I didn't know he had that big of a comic collection. That's pretty impressive. Ooh, Statistical Zero says he thinks he has a sketchbook locked in if he did it right. That is okay. That means he sent me money, which is great. That'll give me something to live stream about. I have to do a sketch cover. I'm not going to do it today, though. And now I have a Statistical Zero sketchbook to do. So maybe you'll see me again tomorrow. David's got it right. That's right. I could have Fred hanging off his lower jaw, but I'm not going to get too carried away. There, see, and he comes in. He's nice. He says, "Nice job, thank you, David." Really, it's like a wing of his house. Interesting. I didn't know that. Raquel Welch, 3000 BC, hot sketch. It's 1 million BC, actually, Joe. Get it right. Mike Rosada here. You got to pick up some food. Sounds good, man. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, well, Raquel Welch was the ultimate cave girl. So anyway, there's that. Again, these are available for $25 plus $5 shipping or $45 plus $5 shipping. If you want to sketch on the inside. So there I am again. Let me remind everybody, if I can, and I will, that this is not Aaron. It's simply Aaron Live. So we don't like to get those two things confused. And I guess you might say that, you know, it's easy to confuse those things, and I can see why people might do it.
Logical.
Yeah, I mean, Spock agrees. He thinks it's logical. Shelley asked me today, she said, are you live streaming again? And I said, yes. And she said, yeah, so it's been one of those days. I'm just trying to get every single little clip I've got in here. Okay, but I do want to remind everybody that this is not an active campaign in the sense that you can buy it yet, but you can sign up for it. And I need you to do that. If you're saying, no, Aaron, I don't buy, I'm going to buy it, don't worry. Well, I still go over to the page and put your email in there anyway, so I know, so I have a good idea of how many people are actually interested in buying this thing and interested in the book. It is very helpful to me, so I'd appreciate it if you take the time to do that. The link is in the description page there at the bottom of this video. It's also on my Facebook page, both my Facebook pages. I have the Aaron Lopresti Art Facebook page and the regular Aaron Lopresti Facebook page. Now, those of you who've sent me friend requests on Facebook, please know I'm maxed out. Okay, so I can only add new friends when someone drops me. But that is why I started the Aaron Lopresti Art page, so that you can go there and check out my stuff if you can't get on my regular homepage. And and it's also, the link is on to the Wraith of God. The link is on my Twitter profile page, my Instagram bio page. It's everywhere that you want to be. So check that out, sign up, and be on the lookout for it, because obviously I'm going to be posting more and more about that as we get closer to the launch date. So there you have it. That's going to do it for today's show. I'm going to go back and work on that Wraith of God page that I showed you. This one, because it's not finished, but it will be soon. And I'll start inking that sucker. I got a trading card to do. I got a limited edition print for Wraith of God to do. It's all going to be part of the campaign. Got to get that stuff done. Can't do it all on camera, unfortunately, though. So anyway, maybe look for me tomorrow for possibly a sketch cover and Statistical Zero's sketchbook. Sounds like a good time. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend a little time with me. It means a lot. And don't miss our 1,000 subscriber show this Sunday, where Mark Nelson will be guesting. And we're going to look at a ton of his art, talk about his career, talk about his art, talk about what he's got coming up. It's going to be a blast. We're going to have like video clips. Shelley will be there. Don't miss it. Okay. So anyway, everybody, thank you. And